Good recommendation.
Well, let me ask you this, Ms. Wayne. Do you think the Steele Dossier is true?
Well, Senator, I have no basis to believe it's true or either way. I
You don't have an opinion?
I mean, I don't have any factual basis to know whether or not. I do from what I've read, it sounds like there's some concerns with the way it was procured.
So I don't understand. Yeah. Do you believe it's true or not true?
So I haven't read the Steele Dossier, but from the news reports, it sounds like there may be falsehoods in it.
Okay, well, when you both get there, I wish you would talk to your colleagues over there. They ought to hide their heads in a bag. They're in charge of protecting American civil liberties and privacy, and it doesn't matter who you are. And they sat there sucking on their teeth like a bump on a log and never said a word.
Senator John Kennedy confronts two Democratic nominees over the infamous Steele Dossier in a fiery exchange that leaves him visibly stunned. As questions about truth, privacy, and civil liberties go unanswered, Kennedy exposes a glaring lack of accountability and candor. This explosive hearing will leave you speechless. In a fiery Senate hearing that quickly turned into a masterclass in cross-examination, Senator John Kennedy delivered a blistering series of questions to two Democratic nominees over one of the most controversial documents in modern political history, the Steele Dossier. What followed was a jaw-dropping moment of evasive answers, missed accountability, and a complete failure to defend the very civil liberties these nominees were nominated to protect. This is the moment Senator Kennedy was left stunned. Let's dive right in.
We spent 3-4 years with some, not all, I'm going to emphasize that, but some, not all members of our FBI and our Department of Justice selling the Steele Dossier. Does that embarrass you?
So, Senator, I think, there have been 3 Inspector General reports with regards to some of the things that went on, and I think that the recommendations in them are a good recommendation.
Well, let me ask you this, Ms. Wayne. Do you think the Steele Dossier is true?
Well, Senator, I have no basis to believe it's true or either way.
You don't have an opinion?
I mean, I don't have any factual basis to know whether or not. I do from what I've read, it sounds like there's some concerns with the way it was procured.
So I don't understand. Yeah. Do you believe it's true or not true?
So I haven't read the Steele Dossier, but from the news reports, it sounds like there may be falsehoods in it. But again, I don't have personal knowledge of it.
Ms. Franklin, do you have an opinion on whether it's true or not true?
I also have not had access to read the dossier, but I can say that I share your concern.
Yeah, but if it's true, I want to understand where you're coming from. Do you believe it's true or not true?
I believe that the Inspector General of the Justice Department found significant problems in 3 reports, including 17 significant errors or omissions in the FISA applications regarding Carter Page.
So you believe it's not true?
I believe that the Inspector General found these errors and omissions which are highly concerning.
Do you agree with the Inspector General?
I find the Inspector General's report very convincing, yes.
Okay. So you don't believe the Steele Dossier is true? Why is it so hard for y'all to tell me what you think here? That's pretty basic.
I would turn to the errors and omissions that the Inspector General did point to, which were significant, and I know that Congress has attempted to take steps to address those.
Well, here's what I'm getting at. I mean, I can tell y'all don't want to answer, and I really regret that. I mean, this to me it's not political. It was these allegations that turned out not to be true. It doesn't matter who they were about. But some members of our federal government put the full force and weight of the power of the office behind this dossier. And it didn't matter who they were. And I can't believe you can't agree with me that it's not true. I mean, there have been 3 inspectors general reports. Where was your agency? Did anybody at your agency stand up and say, wait a minute, before we make all these allegations on the basis of the Steele Dossier, shouldn't we check whether they're true? I mean, FBI Director Comey sold this thing for 5 years. James Clapper was prepared to make a public statement that we're not sure if the dossier is accurate, and Director Comey called him and said, no, don't say that. Where were you guys at the board? You're supposed to protect civil liberties. You're supposed to protect privacy. Does it matter whose privacy and civil liberties are being infringed? Either one.
So, Senator, I wasn't at the board. I haven't been at the board yet, but I agree with you that that is exactly the role of the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board, right?
Thank you.
To ensure that the privacy and civil liberties of Americans are taken into account, and to make sure that our intelligence agencies are being completely forthright and truthful with the decision.
Thank you for that. You were there, Ms. Franklin, right? You weren't there?
No, Senator.
Okay, well, when you both get there, I wish you would talk to your colleagues over there. They ought to hide their heads in a bag. They're in charge of protecting American civil liberties and privacy, and it doesn't matter who you are. And they sat there sucking on their teeth like a bump on a log and never said a word.
Senator Kennedy didn't just ask tough questions, he exposed a deep flaw in how civil liberties are protected in this country. While the nominees dodged, wavered, and refused to take a stance on a document that upended American lives and eroded public trust, Kennedy stood firm. He wasn't asking for partisan loyalty, he was demanding truth, accountability, and a basic respect for facts. The Steele Dossier wasn't just a political blunder, it was a weapon used to justify invasive government actions, and when no one else in the room would call it what it was, Senator Kennedy did. He reminded the nation that defending civil liberties isn't about who's in power. It's about standing up when it counts, especially when it's uncomfortable. And in that moment, it was clear. Kennedy wasn't just holding the nominees accountable. He was standing up for every American who believes truth still matters. In his closing remarks, Kennedy didn't hold back. He blasted the board for sitting like a bump on a log while Americans' privacy and reputations were trampled on in the name of politics and power. His final words cut like a knife. They ought to hide their heads in a bag. Even his Democratic colleague acknowledged the moment, jokingly comparing Kennedy's relentless questioning to a mini-bar exam that left nominees squirming. Senator Kennedy's line of questioning revealed more than just political deflection. It exposed a dangerous apathy in oversight roles meant to protect the American people. In a world where falsehoods are weaponized and truth is dodged, Kennedy reminded everyone that silence, especially from those in power, is complicity. If civil liberties are to mean anything, then it starts with demanding the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Tap the subscribe button to stay updated with more raw moments from Capitol Hill.